Hello everyone, JamieStarr here for the New World News Network. First, before I get into the information in this post, I would like to issue a public apology. I yesterday did 2 interviews, one with Luca from the Dams, the other one was with Benjamin George of Crypto Press, cryptonews.press, something like that. I'm re-interviewing him tomorrow. I was unaware I had my recording interface plugged in. Normally when I have it plugged in, the sound only works through it, but because I had the headphones plugged into the computer and Skype was working, I was unaware. I had these amazing interviews for you guys, but they have no audio. Thankfully, they're with people in the tech industry, and all of us nerds know how it goes when you're working on something, you didn't save it, system crashes, the technical errors we all encounter. So I'm a giant douchebag and a dick, and I apologize to both of them and to all of my viewers for it. I really wish I had those interviews for you guys. They were absolutely amazing, really groundbreaking stuff, and things that we'll be excited about when I present all the information to you. So I wanted to get that out of the way. On this episode, I'm going to combine a handful of things because there's a common thread between all of them, which is colleges. And this is basically the cost of social justice to these universities that are radicalizing students and teaching them racism. As I've mentioned in other videos, I would see these hashtags, all of these white liberal proverbs, and all of these sort of anti-white people hashtags, and I would see minority liberals shit-talking the white liberals on them, which should really be eye-opening to the white people that, you know, think they're advocating for these people. They fucking hate you. I mean, it's plain and simple. They hate you. They think you are the source of all of the pain in their life, and if you aren't bowing to them and basically offering to slit your wrist, fuck you. That's their attitude. Any white person who's a liberal, look up hashtag white liberal proverbs and see what your fellow liberals have to say about you. So, on this first article, Black Lives Matter. Now, remember, this douchebag right here with the microphone, his dad works for George Soros. There's another common thread between all of this stuff. George Soros. I actually found this quote earlier today. If someone could, help me verify it. I tried looking it up. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Where is it? Oh God, where did I put it? Videos. It was basically a quote from George Soros from a German meeting where he's saying something about, you know, his plan to take down America. Yeah, right here. Here it is. If anyone could help me verify this, because I feel like this is one of those fake quotes, but it's very true to what's going on. Hopefully it'll load up. And I hope you guys appreciate that I try to do this all kind of raw and uncut, rather than having it all fancy and edited and things like that. I know if it was me, I'm a fan of Nirvana. I remember buying CDs of their garage demos and things like that. I like things kind of raw and real, and so I hope all of you enjoy it as well. If not, I probably just seem like a lazy douchebag to all of you guys, and if that's the case, then fuck you. I'm going to bring down the United States by funding black hate groups. We'll put them in a mental trap and make them blame white people. The black community is the easiest to manipulate. From where he stands and the ties into all of this that he has, it seems to be true. I couldn't find anything about Germany's BILD September 2014, but it seems like it's on point. He's also funding, you know, the Syrian immigrant problem to help bring down everywhere else. So this guy's father works for George Soros. This is a little trust fund multimillionaire kid. So because they give him a platform to talk about his blackness and his oppression and how held down he is by being the son of a multi-millionaire, the school is taking a big cut. So while this guy, of course, just gets, you know, gets the limelight and everything like that, and he's got money in the bank, don't got to worry about it, Mizzou is having a drop of 23% of its freshman class. Because, I'm sorry, but white people don't want to go to school where they're being discriminated at. You saw Melissa Click, you're going to have to get out of here. Let me get some muscle over here. I mean, these shrill, like, obnoxious little fucking cunts. I mean, oh, man. Trust me, they're all, when I'm Supreme Commander and Dictator, they're all on the list to be purged in the camps. We're going to do this. We're going to clean up society. It's real easy. All we need is a handful of bulldozers. So, University of Missouri flagship Columbia campus has officially lost a staggering 23% of its freshman class this year, an even worse figure than administrators initially predicted in the wake of a major racial strife. The big enrollment drop at MU has been brewing for months, but finally became reality this week within the start of fall term on campus. MU's freshman class this year has some 4,799 students, an overall drop of 1,400 from last year when the freshmen numbered 6,211. Overall enrollment is down by over 2,200, a drop of about 7%, according to preliminary numbers released by the school. Because, of course, some kids also want to transfer to... You can't have your fucking school taken over and being overrun by a bunch of lunatics who claim they're oppressed when they're, by every measure, not, and then discriminate against people. I mean, these schools are... Segregation is back in effect in kindergartens and shit. And it's just, oh my god, it's so awful. So, there's that article. Let's also see if... I should have a article from Princeton. Let's see. No. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been backed up on uncovering this shit. Well, maybe I'll do it in a separate video, or we could just Google it. Princeton. That's going to be another one of the things we cover. Princeton removes man, woman. Yeah, that's what else is going on. Princeton has released an official thing where they have been removing man and woman from all of their official documents and everything like that. It's now, you know, you can't have a trash man, it's a trash person. Here we see, Princeton removes man from all college text. Let's see. Fox News article on it. We'll just go into this one. And you know, this is of course to appease the crazy gender identity people who are offended by the existence of men and women, and it's completely ridiculous, of course, and it's very Orwellian. You know, it's this sort of limiting the ability to express yourself and everyone being forced into this androgyny where men and women are merged into one, which is completely insane for anyone who actually knows anything about anything. They're very different, and these differences should be celebrated and should be embraced. It's being unequal. I mean, the thing is when people hear the term equal, they automatically think in terms of lesser than, greater than. Some things are just different, and they should be embraced differently. You know, we use the phrase apples to oranges, comparing apples to oranges. I like apples, and I like oranges. I like taking them both, throwing them in a blender with some juice and ice, and making a smoothie. It's a wonderful thing. There's nothing wrong. There's just because, you know, one is one and one is the other, it's not oppressing the other. This is where this crazy Marxist power dynamic stuff comes in. So, according to the guidelines, gender inclusivity language is writing and speaking about people in a manner that does not use gender-based words. So gender has to be eliminated. Gender binary is the traditional view of human gender which does not take into consideration individuals who identify as otherwise, including and not limited to transgender, queer gender, gender nonconforming, and or intersex. So isn't it wonderful how they've created all these new identities but they're attacking the other identities, and that's the problem. So I'm sure, you know, someone who's transgender would recognize as transgender. I thought the whole point of transgender is you want to be a different gender, not transgender. I thought you're a man who wants to be a woman. If you want to be a woman, call yourself a woman. Don't call yourself transgender. It doesn't make any sense. And I've seen videos where people question transgenders about it, and they get all offended because it fucks with their heads. They're incapable of thinking. Not all of them, of course. There's, you know, a handful of transgenders, Blair White, Theron Meyer, very outspoken people, very libertarian mindset, and they just want to be free to live their lives however they want to live, but they don't support this Orwellian, you know, punishing everyone else for their existence stuff. They see it as discrimination. So, 4-page memo, the words actress now be replaced by actor. That one caught me off guard because I thought that was like a female and male thing. So now are we saying there can just be the male phrase of the word? I also wonder, you know, in Spanish, because these people are cultural relativists, you know, you have different endings of the words to imply male or female. You have Elio, Elia. Is that wrong? What are we doing for the Spanish-speaking people? Are we going to destroy their language as well? Oh, I'm sure you can't criticize a brown person's culture. Of course not. That would be racist. And can't be racist. A cameraman is now a camera operator. There will be no more references to cleaning lady, but instead office cleaner. New students are no longer freshmen, rather first-year students. A mailman no longer delivers letters or packages because that's the form of mail carrier, letter carrier, or postal worker. Nothing is ever to be done for the betterment of mankind, but instead for humanity, humankind, or simply people. Maybe this is why Obama says folks all the time. Oh, folks, 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 folks. Well, folks. A waiter or waitress will no longer dish out grub. It is now the work of a server. An average man is now an average person or ordinary person. It gets worse. Students are no longer to refer to other students as he, she, or him. In their guidelines, students are given tips how to properly scrub these very descriptive words from their vocabulary. Replace gender pronouns as he, him, his, she, her, hers by writing in the text the plural. Each participant must present his ID badge at the door. All participants present their ID badge at the door. And this is one of the weird things about transgender. I know a person who's transgender. They go to the liberal college right nearby me. In fact, I have an article about some more craziness going on at that college. That college was exposed for shredding the Constitution. It was an undercover video done by James O'Keefe and whatever he works. I'm sorry, I can't remember. James O'Keefe, though. I've shown the video in my top 3 social justice warrior fails of 2015, so check that out. I have some other stuff from them, or on that school. But the thing is like, you know, it really, I feel like when I'm talking to someone and it's like, okay, don't call me him, don't call me her, call me them or their, or, you know, this plural thing, then it really does reinforce the idea that this is a mental disorder, because it's like, now I feel like I'm talking to you, the person with a dick, and also recognizing the woman you want to be. I'm like now acknowledging that there are 2 of you trapped in that little head of yours. And I feel really bad for some of these kids, because I guarantee you at this point, when you see all this stuff in schools, that there is a handful of these people, these white men, that have just been so browbeaten that they're like, I'm going to put on a dress, because everyone else around me is hostile to my identity. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen the video of the college kid who's sitting at the table going on, and someone says, you know, oh, well, I'm white, you know, doesn't my life matter? And he's just like, no, your life doesn't matter. Like, he gets crazy. Like, these people hate white people. The racism is so unbelievable. I even had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and like, I made a post where I was saying, you know, all these people complain about America, but they never want to leave. They just want to bitch and moan and bitch and moan. And the fact is, go somewhere else. If someone didn't like the neighborhood they're in, go there. And they try using the excuse, oh, well, we can't get the money to leave. And it's like, okay, but refugees from fucking bumblefuck Africa and everywhere else in the world can come here with nothing but the fucking shit on their back. And I mean, it makes me have more respect for the refugees than these fucking spoiled ass Americans who are like, oh, well, I ain't gonna leave unless I got enough money for like a crib where I'm going, because here I already got a crib and the government's paying for it, so I'm here. Fuck America. Fuck white people, y'all. I mean, fuck you. And then, of course, they bring up, and we ain't even get our reparations yet. And if you look at the numbers, a stat I didn't know about is between that time, like, the white population got cut down in half by the Civil War, basically, and you had a whole influx of immigrants. So, like, 80% of the white people around in America right now, their families were not in this country for slavery. Period. Period. The handful would be so difficult to figure out, and I mean, there's a million reasons why reparations won't work. Has the war on poverty worked? No. Throwing money at problems doesn't work. It tends to actually just exacerbate them. It makes your pre-existing problems bigger, more expensive problems. Besides that, paid back in the bloodshed of the Civil War, again, more people in ratios died during the Civil War than the Afghanistan War. There's so many, you know, now you're a protected class, discrimination, hate laws, so on and so forth. You know, I see people online, I'm going to do another video about this. Leslie Jones got her ass hacked, got some nude pictures if anyone would want to see that, put online, and you have all these people being like, you know, why you all upset? We saying this is because this is racism and discrimination. And someone was saying, you know, something about the white actresses it happens to. And I showed them, I said, there's whole websites called the fappening.sexy or whatever. I'll have all of it in the video I'm doing on it. And it's like, hundreds of these white girls got hacked. And it wasn't called sexist, racist, or any of that, because they're not protected minorities. All of the systemic legal advantage is on that of the minorities. So there's your reparations. You're a protected class. You're a protected group. You have more government protection than the average person. What do you want? I mean, these people, like negotiating with terrorists, there's never enough. Never enough. And when I explained this to this person, he just said, that's too much. I'm not reading it, and post some little meme being like, a 60-year-old black person saw segregation. A 50-year-old one saw this. An 80-year-old one saw they were denied for loans. This person, someone of this generation, sees a black man get gunned down by police. And it's like, and then says, and we're told to forget. Hashtag never forget. And I bring it up, and I said, okay. And this is why African immigrants come here and outperform African Americans by leaps and bounds. Because they're not seeing anyone in their way. They don't, as corny as it sounds, it's a matter of perspective. If you think you're going to fail, you're going to fucking fail. You're going to be set up for disaster. I had a friend of mine who was doing a bodybuilding show. He would go from being strung out on heroin to being on steroids, being all, to being like, rah! It's insane. But I was making his music for his bodybuilding show for him, and I'm smoking a bowl, and I'm like, hey man, you want to hit this? He turns to me and says, you know what this means? If I'm smoking weed, I'm going to end up doing dope. And I said, it only means that if that's what you want it to mean. You're telling yourself this, so it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Again, sounds all corny and kind of new age, law of attraction-ish, but it's what happens. And when I brought that up, the person talking about the Africans outperforming African Americans, he said, was something about, well, that's because they assimilate and, you know, this and that. Like, basically as if black Americans refuse to assimilate. Like, they want to be segregated and they want to fail and they want to blame someone else for their failures. And I just told him, I said, you know, it amazes me because when it comes to Africa, Islam, you understand all the nuance. Like, you know the details about all of that. But if I bring up anything about white people concerning nuance, you don't even want to hear it. And I think it's because it poses a threat to the narrative and to his identity as the oppressed minority and everything like that. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm shit-talking this person. We don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. But when we talk about these things, we do always end on a common ground, which I think is most important. He has said that I could interview him. Hopefully I'll set it up. I think it'll be a healthy debate. Because like I said, we tend to end on common ground. But we have vast differences in our views on things and everything like that. And if anything, I hope I can, you know, break him out of the mindset that white people as a whole are some sort of enemy, because that doesn't help anyone. I did show him, I did send him the link to Anarchy USA about the communist infiltration of the civil rights and all that, so again, hopefully. Anyway, so here's the list, what words to say and not say. Fucking crazy language policing. And then we also had this. We had the hashtag Stop White People going around. Not the Onion. I mean, that's how bad this thing is that Yahoo has to let you know that this isn't a joke or a fake news article because things are this bad. Taxpayer-backed school holds lessons on how to stop white people. And here we have everyone's tweets. People, of course, making other jokes about it. A lot of this is, you know, people just doing their own thing. Ben Shapiro on Megyn Kelly talking about it. I'm sure that'll be interesting. Here we have the thing. Stop White People 2K16 presenters. I'm not even going to try to pronounce those straight up African names. The premise of this session is to help others take the next step in understanding diversity, privilege, and the society we function in. Learning about these topics is a good first step, but when encountered with good arguments from uneducated people, how do you respond? This open discussion will give attendees the tools to do so and hopefully expand upon what they may already know. What this really is saying, when it says uneducated people, it basically means those that are not indoctrinated into Marxism. Half these people don't know they're indoctrinated into Marxism. They just think this is reality, which is the scariest part of it. I get into arguments with these people all the time, whether it's evolutionist or Darwin, you know, Marxist, you know, even, you know, I identify as a Christian, but there are Christians that I think kind of take it too far. Like, you should always, there should be a layer of ideology, and you should at least recognize your bias and know that you're putting a bias before things, and then you should be able to step back from it and be objective as well. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, when I look at something, I'll look at it and I'll say, okay, personally, emotionally, impulsively, this is how I feel about this. Now, through the eyes of a Christian, I feel like this. If I were African American, I could see this as being such. If I was, you know, a radical feminist, I could understand them seeing this as this. You have to, you know, Sargon of Akkad does a great video on the ideological lenses. And you basically have to know how to switch them, take them off. You know, if I was still libertarian, as, you know, because I identify a little more as Republican nowadays, I know how I would view certain things. It's healthy to be able to do. Here we see people making jokes. Stop us from inventing nearly everything, creating democratic law, and perfecting Western civilization. Imagine if college was giving a class on how to stop Muslims or stop blacks. And that's the other thing about any of this stuff. It's, you know, you could swap in a different group name and you could see how racist it is. Why is Stop White People trending on Twitter? Can you imagine how racist it would be if Stop Black People was trending? Hashtag double standard. And this person looks to be a person of color. So, it's completely ridiculous. Here's an article on it. Taxpayer school stops white people. I believe they show the same thing. It's at SUNY Binghamton. A lot of this is going on in New York. These New York colleges are out of their fucking minds because it's a liberal hotbed, New York. And then from there, I ended up coming across these other articles. Public College warns students to check your privilege. Students at Appalachian State University in North Carolina admonished by a resident advisor who is urging them to check no fewer than 7 types of privilege. Campus Reform reports. The dangerous privileges to be checked were all listed on a bulletin board in the campus East Hall and included white privilege, male privilege, Christian privilege, heterosexual privilege, able-bodied privilege, class privilege, and even cisgender privilege. So that's the list of enemies for anyone who can't decipher that. There is a warpath and there is active discrimination for everyone that they just said is privileged. And this is the trick they do, where they basically say, I mean, it's very, the psyop in all of this, you know, it's amazing how you see pictures of how the Jews were portrayed in Nazi Germany, in cartoons as rats and everything like that. And there's this sort of dehumanizing of people. And I mean, in Germany they did the same thing. They said the Jews were above everyone and they were causing all of the problems and everything like that. But in this, there's this weird, you know, same sort of mentality, but what they're doing is they're putting these people on a pedestal and saying, because they're on this pedestal, it is okay to attack them. And so you're fair game and you have a target on you if you're a white, male, Christian, heterosexual, able-bodied, from a middle-class home, and if you fucking have a dick and you like having a dick, and you have a dick and call yourself a boy, or you have a vagina and call yourself a woman. I don't think the cisgender thing applies to the women because I'm pretty sure, you know, feminism cancels that out. But another thing, if you're confident that the police exist to protect you, you have white male privilege, one flyer declares. Another says, if you can use public bathrooms without stares, fears, or anxiety, you have cisgender privilege. I mean, this is fueling people with guilt. It's just saying, feel bad about everything. Feel bad. It's so awful, and I would love to see everyone who supports this stuff bulldozed right off a cliff. Right off clip, hands up, bulldoze. That's what we'll do. I don't see color, one picture of a white male reads, which means I also deny having white privilege, another says. I have the privilege of being totally unaware of my own privilege. Oh my god, I hate this shit. Oh, I really, again, the Christian in me is like, Jamie, feel bad for these people. They are mind controlled. They are the victims. They're not the victims that they think they are. They're a whole different level of victim. And then the other part of me has the defense mentality, where I'm like, I want them under my foot. I want them under my foot and screaming in pain. Because I think about the emotional trauma that they are causing to kids with this stuff. And they're pushing it younger and younger. So, the last thing, Roseanne Barr was on the Rubin Report, and you know, I had seen some things about Roseanne talking politics, and I was like, oh wow, Roseanne's really awake. And then I saw her on Alex Jones, and they were sort of differing in what they would say, and I thought, okay, Roseanne's awake, but she has some batshit crazy solutions. You know, she's talking about socialism and all this other shit. And I think I realized through the Rubin Report interview that there's a linguistic problem there, where she's not talking about Stalinist socialism or like Hitler socialism. She's talking about communal neighborhoods and local and grow your own food and all of the stuff that I do support. Bartering, learning to survive, detaching from the technology. So check her out on the Rubin Report. She's a very smart woman. I have a whole new level of respect for Roseanne Barr after watching that. But so I was going through her timeline, because she's very proactive in the Jewish issues as well. And then I came across this where, again, the college right down the street from me is having an upcoming vote on a highly controversial boycott, divestment, and sanctions that will involving Israel and their occupation of Gaza and the West Bank, because, you know, Muslims are the highest on the Oppression Olympics. Muslims outrank Jews on Oppression Olympics. And this is where I'm seeing, you know, people, I've always heard that the liberals, there's this layer of anti-Semitism. And this is it. So, you know, once the word starts coming out about that, you're going to see a lot of these schools, again, getting their funds cut. You know, Jews have a high acceptance to colleges. The stereotypes are true. They tend to be very well with their money. Schools like this, I know when they have their alumni weekend, they'll make $11 million in donations in a day. So there's lots of money pouring into these things. Just imagine if you had a bunch of well-off Jews who see that they're boycotting everything made from Israel, or having Jewish owners, and they just decide, fuck these schools. I mean, I can't believe that, like, the JDL or any of these other Jewish institutions aren't throwing a fit about this. And the other thing I have to say is, it was an anonymous secret vote. You fucking liberal little pussies. And it says right in here, oh, well, we did it anonymously because we're afraid of the implications. Right here, Brown continued, despite us being elected as student representatives, which I acknowledge is our job, I don't think that it's fair for those implications or perceived implications to be having any true effect on the lived experiences of members of VSA Council, because despite what people believe, we're human beings first, we're students seconds, and we're VSA representatives third. They basically said that if any of them put their name to this, then maybe they wouldn't get hired by a Jewish person for a job. You fucking pussies. You little fucking pussies. You're so anti-Semitic, but you're too afraid to be it publicly. What fucking little cunts. And for anyone, I know on my site I have videos about the conspiracy behind the Holocaust, so let me just say a few words about that. Same reason I have the Flat Earth videos, I just think it's interesting. I think generally people, and they never know the whole story behind everything. I like hearing both sides of stories. I think the truth tends to fall somewhere in between. I don't have anything against Jews personally or anything like that. I think when horrible giant things in the world happen, whether it's the Holocaust or 9/11 or Pearl Harbor or anything on that level, you will have things happen that are, you know, rationalized with it, that aren't in the best intentions for the group it claims to be for, like the Patriot Act in America and things like that. So there probably is, you know, bits of truth in there, probably some deception, probably coming from on both sides. History is written by the winners. So please don't think I have any sort of personal investment in any of the documentaries I have on my page. I just have them out there because I find the stuff interesting. And if I reference something, I want people to be able to go and check it. This shit's out of control, though. March 6th, we'll vote to determine whether or not the VSA will adopt a resolution that restricts the use of VSA funds from purchasing products of both Israel and American companies that are either located in the Israel settlement in Palestine or financially support the Israeli military or its occupation of Gaza and the West Bank. The resolution also supports Vassar College's divestment from products from Israel companies, including Sabra, Tribe, Ben & Jerry's, Hewlett-Packard, Ava, General Electric, Eden Springs, Motorola, Caterpillar, G4S, and Elbit Systems. So, boycotting all of that stuff because they care so much about Muslims. This is a insane level of virtue signaling, and this isn't the only place it's happening. There are a whole bunch of other schools, and Wall Street Journal did an article on this, the anti-Israel money trail. Pro-Palestine campus activists have some smelly financial supporters, and it basically links a lot of these groups. Do I have to exit out of this? It basically links a lot of these. There's a trail of money coming from Hamas. So people can go through this article for themselves. I definitely recommend looking into it. But I have to say, isn't it mind-blowing that you have these schools that are oh so concerned about diversity and, you know, You know, also it's concerned about diversity. They want to get rid of male and female. They want to embrace transgenderism and otherism and queer, heteronormative, whatever the fuck they're calling themselves today. But fuck white people, fuck the Jews. I mean, they're so openly racist and biased towards those that they believe are not the protected minorities, and it's all based off of just what they've been told. They're not having their own thoughts. They're thinking what they've been told to think. They're appeasing their crazy professors. It's all insane. But colleges are going to end up closing over this. If this shit continues at this rate, I mean, Mizzou, 23%. Give it another year or two, and no one's going to want to go there. And then hopefully this will be a good thing. This will be a really good thing, because then you're going to have an uptick in online universities, online education, libertarian education, and actual freedom and openness. This stuff it's eating itself. That's what it's doing. Jews were one of the original protected classes of America, and now they've been devoured. You know, we've seen that Democrats don't even care about blacks anymore. They have Hispanics and Muslims, so they got devoured. Gays? Fuck gays. I mean, if a Muslim wants to throw you off a roof, you know, don't criticize Islam. It's a different culture. Respect it. We have to love the terrorists, and the love will stop the terror. I mean, it's so appalling and disgusting. So, that's what's going on in your universities, and I recommend people look into this shit, because this is in-fucking-sane. So, subscribe to the channel, check the links below. Hopefully I'll have those interviews to you guys soon once they're all redone. One's scheduled for tomorrow morning, and take it easy, everyone.